Hello. Now, this is the awkward part, honestly, because we have to wait until everybody signs on. So we're here, but not here. Anyway, as I was saying, as for anyone who's joining, the one thing that I felt that have been missing in these Change for Good podcasts and conversations is music. So that is what my promise is for the next podcast or next webinar, Change for Good. Stay tuned because we'll have some great music to play when we're starting these. Anyway, as before we start our official conversation together, glad it's like I feel like we're in polar opposites in a way. You're sitting there in Miami, I'm sitting here in Toronto, and you've got a window behind you, and I've got a window behind me. I can see it's a different view.
Indeed, our winter is when it dips below 80 degrees Fahrenheit.
Well, you know, you have nothing to complain about over there. Here we have, it looks like there's like a tropical forest behind you, and behind me here in Toronto, we have trees with no leaves. Cool. Anyway, I just, for people joining us today, welcome to Change for Good. We're so happy to be back. We did, I think, 17 Change for Good episodes in a row earlier this year. We took a break because we were so busy doing some other things, but other Change for Good activities, but now so happy to be back, and we've got an amazing lineup ahead of us now and into the new year. But I think for anyone who's been here before and anyone who's new, we started Change for Good as a way of creating a place of kind of community and inspiration during a time which was very difficult for a lot of people. And we do that by really by having conversations like this with my friend and colleague and sustainability and social change leader, Gilad Lang, who is the vice president of an incredible organization called the Madison Collection. So welcome, Gil.
Good day. It's truly a pleasure and honor to be here with you and all of your audience members and your community that you've built around Change for Good.
Well, thank you. So I won't say much, in advance, other than before we start to have our conversation. Other than honestly, the Madison Collection has been around for more than 20 years. And it's a company that on the surface is a company that, as I will tell you more about, produces most incredible bath and towels, robes, and amazing luxurious things. But that does not begin to tell the story of what is really going on. And when I first heard about everything that you do and what the Madison Collection does, it was so mind-bogglingly great and complex, I couldn't even begin to understand it and think, wow, these people have created something incredible that others could learn from. And that's why we're having this conversation today. Also, the thing that also struck me is, and I'll just read this, that's remarkable about this company, about your company, is your mission statement, which I'll just read, which is to protect and improve the environment, promote workplace wellness, and support clean water rights. Through social impact partnerships and our ethically and sustainably manufactured luxury cotton essentials for the home and hospitality industry, our commitment to sustainability is fulfilled. And the thing that really struck me there is actually doesn't say make a profit, and which is unusual. Anyway, Gil, I think that what people would just love to hear, I would love to hear from you is how this all, what is your backstory? How you came to create something that ended up with a company that has a mission statement that's not about profit.
Well, thank you, Paul, for that introduction. I'm very, very humbled by it and really appreciate the opportunity to share a bit of our story. You know, I think we are in the place we are today because it's been the marriage of two families. We're a family-run business. My mom started this company 22 years ago, and we're in partnership with a wonderful family in the south of Brazil. And it truly is the unison of those values and all of these various experiences we've had throughout our life that we're able to bring into and inject into how we conduct business. And I think, you know, my story really begins being an immigrant from South Africa. My mom and I immigrated illegally to the United States when I was about 10 years old. And my mom, the founder of the Madison Collection, you know, we didn't experience the American dream like it's cracked up to be in the movies. You know, being a single immigrant woman who's illegal, she really experienced just so many different hardships along the way. But along with those hardships came so many incredible strangers, people who just did things that helped for no reason. And it's because of those experiences my mom was able to sort of get to the place that she did, as well as myself. Just kindness, just a helping hand along the way. So when my mom started the Madison Collection, she wanted to sort of leverage her business and her resource and her access and her privilege to do some uplifting, AKA giving back along the way. In the mid 90s, my mom sort of traveled America with literally a cash register underneath her arm and would literally go knocking on business doors for 2 or 3 weeks a month away from me. And I was a pretty young boy. And she was a door-to-door traveling saleswoman with these point of sales cash registers. And she would always, you know, go home to a hotel or a motel at the end of a 16-hour day. And all she wanted to do was just take a shower, take a bath, just unwind. And every time she had this experience where she just had this kind of scratchy, itchy robe or towel. And so that's kind of where this, you know, the Madison Collection idea was born. And in the mid 90s, my mom decided she wanted to create the world's best robe and towels. And so she got on a plane and she went to Central and South America. And she was determined to go visit every factory under the sun that would, you know, take her appointment. And she just wanted to sort of feel. She wanted to go and just sort of feel what the product output was like. And she also just wanted to feel what the people were like who own or ran the factory. And after going to about 30 or 40 and just not finding what she was looking for, both in terms of quality, but more important, values alignment, she went to this factory in the south of Brazil. And for the first time, she was actually greeted by the owner, by the president of the factory. You know, typically a woman traveling in the mid 90s in Latin America was never greeted, well, by a male. And typically, you know, never received sort of the, you know, that level of sort of business etiquette and respect to meet the owner, to meet the president. My mom was actually a little bit taken aback because it was such a different experience. And the factory president greeted her. And, you know, my mom had shared with him, she was a little wonderfully surprised to be meeting with him. And he said, you know what, here we greet and treat everyone as family. And if my daughter was on such an exploration like you are, I would expect others to receive her in the same way. And right there was this beautiful business relationship that has now been sort of passed on to the next generation. That's really where it was born. You know, my mom and this gentleman, you know, they spoke about the power of a handshake. They spoke about trust. They spoke about resolving issues in the business world as a family would. You know, where individual good is made possible through the collective well-being of the whole. You know, they spoke extensively about a family cannot be made or held together by a contract, but a contract can surely break one apart.
I want to, that's an amazing, thank you for sharing that. It's an incredible story. And I want to talk more about the contract, but I also want to, we all have a question already that we can connect, I think, to what you just said. And it's from Grant, who's asked, what tracking and measurements does the company use to follow its mission statement? So you've just described the importance of trust, the importance of family, and you know, the fact that you're working with these people in a very in a way which is sort of not many businesses would. So how do you what are there metrics behind that, or like how do you actually know that's from more of a business point of view that's valuable?
That's a great question. We truly believe in third-party, verification and validation of any kind of, sustainable or green impact claim we're making. So we actually work with teams of environmentalists and scientists who are not, full-time and part of our immediate factory structure. We also work with organizations like Green Story, which is actually based in Toronto, which do a third-party accreditation and assessment of everything from from the seed all the way through to the sale, and they apply their rigorous scientific assessment and approach. We share with them every little bit of data that we can possibly gather that is usually generated by the scientists, environmentalists that are sort of part of different departments and entities within Brazil, and we share that with a third party who sort of runs it through their various models. It's important not to have it generated from the inside, but have it coming from an outside entity.
Thank you. And we should share a link to, is it to Green Share? Is that the company?
It's actually greenstory.ca.
Greenstory.ca.
The Canadian domain.
Thank you. Who I wasn't familiar with, but I will be after this. So just coming back to this factory, you have a relationship with a factory without a contract. Mm-hmm. And it's also a factory that has, in partnership with you, created an incredible ecological and social situation there. That's all I can say. One question is, do you think this would happen if you had had a formal contract? Do you think you would have ended up in the same place? And also, just I think we'd love to hear a little bit more about what that looks like there, what's actually happening there in the factory.
Yeah, I think so much of what we do is just based on sense of family values, certain ethos that we are trying to create. What I've found with other relationships that I've created both in my personal life and in professional life, if the relationship begins by sort of getting into the details and the weeds of a contract, I just feel like we're missing so many opportunities to establish trust and rapport. And a relationship is something very fluid. And it's hard to sort of put all the what ifs into a contract, because you can put a million in there, and the million and one is the one that ends up sort of being the reality. So we really prefer to sort of put our energy into having a commitment to resolving issues and problems, just sort of like a family would, where you really have no choice but to sort of resolve it, and not relying on the crutch of a contract, because that's where a lot of relationships sort of end up going south.
So based on that, you've got this trust-built relationship, and in that context, some incredible things have happened. Can you share a few? There's so many, but what are those things that, some of the things most remarkable to you?
Absolutely. I just want to kind of start with the first one. One of the things that we committed as a family to doing along with the factory was to keep it vertically integrated. In this day and age, sort of horizontal, sort of production in the field that we're in is usually a little bit less, you can do it more efficiently, a little bit more, less expensive. However, it has incredible environmental impact and harm. So we've sort of strategically chosen to keep everything, vertically integrated, vertically produced, and in the process have a great product that we can really sort of stand by from a story perspective. The thing that I really sort of, wanted to share with you that sort of I'm most proud of, and this has sort of come to the fold in probably the last few years, is we really kind of have this culture of innovation at the factory, where we really sort of promote this philosophy: big ideas can come from anywhere and anyone. Just in the last 3 years, over 400 suggestions directly generated from our workers for safety, efficiency, and happiness have been implemented. Okay. Every I guess the way we kind of frame things is, problems and complaints are actually celebrated as solutions in the making. And I'm going to give you an example. About 3 years ago, there was a management training, and it was a very technical type of management training. Um, and somebody had made a comment that, listen, all of these things that you're sharing with us, all of that can be learned. However, a real manager needs to have the trust and the respect of the people that he or she is leading, because management is actually leadership. And somebody had made this suggestion, they should really look at, management positions being more merit-based and actually being part of a democratic process. So we started seeing all of the different suggestion boxes that are sort of all around the factory. There's both ones that are online and offline. You can be anonymous, you can sort of share who you are. There was kind of this like groundswell that had begun to emerge in the suggestion system about management being a democratic process. And we listened to this groundswell. And people were really really excited about this new potential avenue. And so for the last 2 years, all of our management has been democratically elected by their peers. And since that's occurred, there is now approximately 82% of management are women, where before it was probably in the teens. And management now is really sort of reflective of who's at the factory, who's there. And it's just been wonderful to see people's lives transformed, and people, whether you're one of those managers or not, to know that if you earn the trust and respect of your peers in the right way, you too can sort of work your way up into that, merited position.
Something which you just said, which we could all learn from today in the current election process. However, thank you for sharing that. It's that's again, I think that's an incredible best practice that it could be emulated in a lot of different ways in different companies. But the other thing one of the things that you said also that I struck with is you were talking about happiness as an important criteria in the operation there. You've got people working in a factory. Just to play devil's advocate a little bit, working in a factory is generally not a happy thing to do. Like people aren't eager to do that. But what does it actually look like there? Are people genuinely happy to be working in a factory in Brazil?
Fair enough. So we do a couple of things. So 3 times a day, the following occurs. First of all, a massage therapist comes around to sort of each workstation and work area. And for 10 or 15 minutes, you get the individual attention of a massage therapist while you work or while you take a break. They also have these wonderful sort of group activities where everyone will kind of stand up, sort of, get in a line. It's a little bit different, obviously not now during sort of COVID, sort of pre-COVID. And there'd be just sort of, group sort of massage activities. We also have a licensed sort of physical trainer and sort of activities person who, again, will come onto the factory floor. Everyone just stops what they're doing and they do some kind of fun stretching, physical activity, movement. It's sort of something different, every single solid day. So, we create items and garments that, sort of go into the wellness world and the wellness economy. And it's important that, the people who are making them are getting to experience a lot of those, wellness activities while they work, sort of, at their stations.
Nice.
So that's been a really big part. And something else we've also, implemented, which has definitely led to, let's say, happiness and increased livelihood, is we equally share 25% of the net profit with every individual at the factory. And it's an equal share regardless whether you are, working in the cafeteria or you are the marketing director. And that has really, had a great impact on people's lives. And a greater connection to their commitment, as well as just pride in their craftsmanship and the products they're outputting.
And have you, with this, who are employed there, they're getting this profit sharing and so on, are there ways that you have of understanding what you're doing there and how you're employing these people are actually improving their lives outside of the factory?
I'm sorry, Paul, I didn't quite hear the last part of that question. If you can just,
Yeah, like are there ways that you have like how in what like you're doing these things that people are employed there? It sounds like an incredibly progressive situation. You've got profit sharing and so on. How is all that which is happening inside the factory impacting their lives outside the factory, if you know that?
absolutely. Well, first of all, we have an incredible, as we call them, factory family of about 1,400 people. And what's amazing is it's quite multi-generational. You have parents there working with their children, and grandparents even working there with their grandkids. So it's quite incredible that there is community both inside and outside of this location. And just the additional sort of profit sharing, it's meant people can throw more of their children a birthday party. It means potentially taking an extra vacation. It means the difference between certain kinds of foods or not. Yeah, we've really seen just some basic sort of day-to-day daily living types of improvement. We also provide everyone with free medical care. We have a facility at the factory. Everyone gets access there. There's a free meal provided for each 8-hour shift, which is prepared by a nutritionist, not just sort of a chef in tandem with a nutritionist. So we're really trying to look at people's lives holistically, both inside and outside. And in this day and age, everything is just so blended. You can't really compartmentalize one to the other. So we really try to embrace family values and just treating people as well as we can inside the factory doors and sort of outside as well.
Nice. I wish we had a camera there. I wish we could show people what's going on there. I'd love to visit. A couple of questions.
Sure.
One sustainability question. This is the companies like Patagonia comes to mind that has kind of a take back program. Like their own clothes, they reuse them and so on. And the question here is, does your company have a take back program to minimize textile waste?
That's a great question. So our customers are primarily hotels and spas throughout the world. And so, there's usually a life cycle of anywhere from 6 months to 2 years of, let's call it a towel, a robe, a massage table, sort of, bed sheet. What we actively do with all of our customers, we work with them to identify sort of local opportunities to sort of donate those used textiles onward. For us to take the stuff back, the impact just on the environment would be significant. So what we're actually finding is a lot of our sort of used textiles are really well received and used in animal shelters, where they seem to have a great sort of second life. There are in every community where there's a hotel or a spa, there's plenty of sort of animal shelters. So it's sort of repurposed to take care of the animals. And there are some communities where they have existing sort of workshops where people will sort of repurpose various types of material and turn it into a product or an item. And we actively support those types of enterprises. However, the impact and the cost to actually retrieve this material, and we have customers in 50 countries throughout the world, it would just sort of have a net negative effect, actually. So it's the local repurposing that we are very active with our customers with.
Well, it's nice. I can't remember if I've talked to you about this before, but I feel like there's an incredible visual thing, which is to represent this incredible ecosystem that you've created. That's an amazing part of it. So another thing that I know of is you have, from a consumer point of view, consumers can from the Madison Collection can buy robes that it's like, when is a robe more than a robe? And in this case, it's a lot more. So tell us about the program that you've implemented around robes and water.
Sure. I only came into the company about 3.5 years ago. My previous career was 17 plus years working in the civil society. I worked everywhere from Eastern Europe to Southern Africa, across the fields of HIV/AIDS prevention of violence against women, and a host of other type of disadvantaged youth initiatives. So when I came into the company, the first thing I asked the company, so to speak, is, what harm are we causing? And whatever social efforts, we undertake have to directly be to where we cause harm. And the simple answer is to water. Cotton is one of the most thirsty crops in the world. If one of our hotel customers, washes 4,000 towels in the course of a day, which is very easy during a busy season, that takes up a lot of energy, a lot of, sort of water. And throughout the work that I've done in my sort of civil society career, one of the things that always really struck me was this unequal access to water. We talk about, in my current industry, we talk about wellness and we talk about, all these things. There are so many places in the world where just clean, safe, potable drinking water is a luxury. Mm-hmm. And if we want to look, if I look at the core of what's at the core essence of somebody's wellness, it's water. You can go days, God forbid, without food, God forbid, a few days, a few weeks without sort of shelter, but sort of water is at the epicenter of everything. It truly is life. So I was also passionate about creating a sort of a one-for-one program. You buy one product and it will sort of lead to a gift of another product. So we partnered with an organization called Wine to Water that distributes these organic ceramic water filters, which provides a family with safe drinking water for 7 to 10 years sort of in their household. So the program is called Feel Good, Do Good. And for every bathrobe that is ordered online, the consumer will effectively gift a family in Haiti, Cuba, or the Dominican Republic with one of these organic ceramic water filters that provides them, clean water for 7 to 10 years in their home. And the outcome of that is increased days at school, increased days at work, because less sick days. A lot of families are sometimes forced to spend 15 to 20% of their monthly income just on bottled water so they don't get sick. This basically eliminates that additional cost. And more importantly, in a lot of communities around the world, the burden of water collection sort of falls on women and girls primarily. And a lot of them have to travel numerous kilometers or miles within the course of a day to collect water. And I think we can imagine all the unspeakable types of abuses and horrors that sort of happen along the way. So yeah, we've been running the Feel Good, Do Good program for about 3 years. And what's wonderful is this is basically, an initiative of our customers. They're the ones who, by making their purchase, are consciously sort of gifting these water filters and improving the lives of a family unit.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that. We don't have much time left. We've got a couple of questions. I have another question, but I want to there's a couple of questions people have been asking about COVID and how COVID has affected your employees, your business, your community, and how you're maybe doing what you're doing in response to that.
Our industry has been mainly impacted. We work with hotels, and I think anyone in the hospitality or food and beverage industry has been impacted the most. And it's really been heartbreaking to see the employees, in particular, of a lot of hotels who have been furloughed for months on end, who've been brought back and then sort of, let go. So, we are, we're actually donating and contributing as much as we can financially to some funds where, employees of the hotel industry in particular are just getting basic things like, food and medicine and things that, they're a little bit deprived of at the moment. But yeah, it's definitely ravaged the hotel and particularly the spa industry, where there's obviously very close contact and sort of various treatments going on.
Thank you for sharing that. So one of the questions, when I listen to you, I'm thinking you're doing all these incredible things and you've created this amazing sort of, mosaic of these incredible sustainability initiatives. But so this is the kind of mind that you have of doing all these things, but what are you thinking about, like, what's next? What's that thing that you're thinking, well, I haven't done this yet. What is that?
A lot of our products are used in sort of homes throughout the world. People, go to a hotel or a spa and they just love, the towel or the robe, and they jump on our website, they make the purchase and they have it home. What I would like to get more involved with and provide are, for example, as part of that experience is like, laundry detergents that, minimize, plastic. Um, Laundry detergents that, are potentially as natural and possible, natural and sort of chemical free as possible. I'd like to be able to offer, products that help eliminate sort of dryer sheets. So I would love to sort of look at the life cycle of receiving a product, whether it's clothing or towels, and sort of looking at the whole life cycle from using it to washing it to drying it, and how can we create sort of an ecosystem around that somehow just has positive impact, whether it's on the environment or whether just sort of on our bodies. So I definitely would like to branch out and sort of expand the bookends of the care and sort of the treatment of products such as towels and robes.
Amazing. Thank you. You know what? Sadly, we're out of time. But this is again one of those conversations that we could keep going and learn and learn and learn from you. So thank you, first of all, for having this conversation with me today. I so appreciate it, and as I know everyone else does. I want to say two things. We are going for the first time in our Change for Good series. We're creating a case study about the Madison Collection, which everyone here will get a copy of. So just stay tuned for that in the next couple of weeks. The other thing which I wanted to thank Gil for is in the spirit of the holiday season, he is offering everyone here a 20% discount on Madison Collection products. You can order them through their website, which is, I think, the madisoncollection.com. We'll send that to everybody. And there's a gift code, which will also send to everybody. But if you want to write this down, it's Change for Good. And I'm ordering something, and so you can order something from the Madison Collection. It's just doing a world of good for everybody. Anyway, Gil, thank you again for being here.
Thank you. It's been a real pleasure and honor to be a part of this. And thank you out there listening, because this platform doesn't exist unless there are wonderful people like you listening in and sharing whatever insights or observations you have. So it's been a real honor and pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks for everyone participating today. And stay safe, and we'll see you again soon.